Hey, vinyl community. Weird old Uncle Doompaul here. How you guys doing? It's been a little while. Haven't been busy. Haven't had time to do a show, but have actually been listening to quite a few records lately. Picking quite a few up and stuff. Today is a prog-tastic episode. I'm gonna go over some prog basics and some prog rarities and some interesting stuff. So, without further ado, picked this up the other day. King Crimson's Court of the Crimson King. Fantastic record. Fantastic. It's really nice too. It's in really nice shape and nice textured record. 69. A lot of people would argue that this is the beginning of prog rock. This here record. And let me tell you, I gave this a listen. I've heard this before. I've heard this many times before, and I gave it a re-listen this morning. And boy, it starts out the first half of the record. The side A is just fantastic. Just really good. Musicianship. Greg Lake on vocals. Robert Fripp on guitar. Reminds me a little bit of Tarkus, that would come much later, just basically due to Greg Lake's vocals. Second record, man, the two songs on it, Moonchild and The Court of the Crimson King. Moonchild is an interesting bird. It starts off sort of as a ballad and then just gets into this deconstructed, I don't know, noise stuff that, while interesting, does not, warrant, repeat listens. I see where they're trying to get interesting and stuff like that, but a lot of times people don't even think about, are people going to listen to this more than once? So it kind of breaks up the record. It's a fantastic record, the first King Crimson. Absolutely great. But, that one kind of struck me. Next one is Nectar, A Tab in the Ocean. Let's see. This was originally released 73. Finally got released 72. Finally got released in the U.S. in 76. It took a while. The mighty Roy Albrighton playing guitar on this, and the whole first side's sort of a concept record about dropping a lot of acid in the ocean and what would happen, and that pretty much translates. It gets Beatles-ish in times, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not the biggest Beatles fan in the world, but it definitely does. Just a monster of a record, just from start to finish. I don't have a single bad thing to say about that. I got some of Nectar's later records, but just managed to pick this one up, and boy, it's fantastic. Just some great stuff. If you haven't heard that record, give it a YouTube or whatever, because it's just rocking. And I've been on such a prog kick lately, and believe it or not, a huge Rush kick lately, which is kind of strange. My wife hates Rush, and a lot of times I do too. But lately they've just been clicking with me, and it's it's like high school all over again. So I've pretty much picked up the first 8 Rush records lately, and I've been really digging sort of hemispheres, stuff like that, and picked this one up on eBay the other day pretty inexpensively. Permanent Waves, and it's got some of their bigger hits on there, Spirit of Radio, Free Will. I dig Rush when they're doing their proggy stuff, like Unnatural Science and Jacob's Ladder and stuff like that. When they get more into their pop synth stuff, I'm not as big of a fan. I've purchased stuff up to all the way up to Grace Under Pressure, and Grace Under Pressure was pushing it for me. But the early stuff when Geddy actually screams, fantastic. Just fantastic. And I know there's two camps, people who hate Geddy Lee and people who really dig his voice. I'm in the latter. And, you know, they're just such good musicians. I mean, it's just captivating. Neil Peart's lyrics, they're, a lot of people praise them up and down for being cerebral, and, you know, I find them a little much at times. Not a big Ayn Rand fan either, so, you know, that's where you go. But, you know, this is sort of the transition record from, you know, from the hard rockin' rush, you know, of the 70s into the keyboard-driven Geddy Lee sort of head up on this. So, you know, it's Rush. You're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. I don't care. I like it right now. So, and you can find their stuff on pretty cheap. So that's always a bonus for me because I'm pretty cheap. Next record's an interesting bird. Band out of the UK, based out of Germany. Babe Ruth. Terrible name for a band. Let's start with that. Female-fronted vocalist. What can I say about this? This song starts with a monster of a track called Dancer. If you've never heard Dancer by YouTube, pause this now and go listen to it. Female-fronted vocalist, I forget her name. I never know anybody's name. And it doesn't tell me right away, so I don't know. Probably should. Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't. But, it starts out with the most amazing track, and you get so excited because you're like, if this is what the rest of the record is going to be like, then I'm in for a treat. You know, her voice is a combination of Janis Joplin and Geddy Lee when he was at his screamiest, which, you know, just those octave changes and everything else. And when I first heard this, I was just like, this is going to be great. This is going to be the most underrated record I've ever heard. And it just goes downhill after that. They have no less than 3 cover songs, including a very, very, very sketchy cover of Curtis Mayfield's We People Darker Than Blue, which I don't think would ever be done today. And I'm sure they had their best intentions at heart, but it just comes off as... I don't know, strange. It just, I don't know. And then on the second side, they even get into like some weird pop stuff, like Private Number and stuff like that. So they're all accomplished musicians, but apparently their songwriting skills are, I don't know. Yeah. But the first song, just listen to it. Seriously, it's called Dancer. Just go YouTube it because it's really, really, really good. And I wish the rest of the record had gone that way. All right. Next record. Been spending a lot of time with this one. Van der Graaf Generator. Of course, I've forgotten the title. Still Life. Here's the thing about Van der Graaf Generator. They are an amazing, amazing band, but they tend to be, and it's on the Charisma, oh, yeah. It's on the Charisma label. They tend to be sort of just a front for this guy singing. And Peter Hamill is his name. And look, his singing is an acquired taste. Much like Geddy Lee. You either dig it or you don't. And I'm sort of actually on the fence. I don't know. He's very emotive, and when he sings angry, he almost sounds exactly like Rob Halford from Judas Priest, which is pretty interesting. You know, but it's the song Pilgrims, fantastic stuff. And the entire record is just really worth a listen. But I did notice that it was just sort of like, it was just like, it was almost like there was a backing band playing to a singer. And, you know, he's emotive, and he'll start singing in this falsetto, and it's an interesting listen. But overall, if you sort of stand back and take the entire package, it's really, really good. So yeah, I was digging it. Final record today is one I picked up in my local shop, and he was like, "You really want this?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." It is Divine, Hey You, and it's a 12-inch 45 or whatever the hell you call it. And let me tell you, this song, and almost made a terrible mistake there. This song, Hey You, and I don't know if it's on YouTube, but you should totally listen up. It is almost exactly like a Lost Depeche Mode record from right after from Speak and Spell. It just sounds like it. You know, it's total like disco like nonsense, and you know the only thing Divine does is he does some yelling on the track. Lot of fun though, man. And I've never seen this. Must have been a smaller press, but I've never seen Zix Rec as a label before out of New York. But it's boy, it's a lot of fun, and not proggy at all. But I didn't care. I just wanted to put it in there. So I hope all of you guys are doing well. Sorry I haven't been around, but I've got a stack of records that I've been listening to that I want to yammer on about. Yeah, and I'm trying to play catch up with watching you guys' videos. I've just been so busy lately with work that not so much. So, yeah, hope you guys are all doing well. That's my prog-tastic episode. And tell me what you think. Goodbye. Goodbye.